Good afternoon, I'm Lizzy. Today, I'd like to explain what has been going on here in Japan around the state funeral of Shinzo Abe based on what I saw. Even on foreign media, it was written or said that demonstrators in Japan have protested against planned state funeral for the former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. And in reality, mainstream media had been keep reporting on these protesters against a state funeral every day since the state funeral was planned 2 months ago. So I was quite confused what to think about it. Even some of the conservative people were against it for reasons. But when I went for Floral tribute, I saw a huge queue of people who visited to show gratitude and condolences. Yes, this was the silent majority of Japan, and I figured that this is the will of Japanese nation. It's quite simple. The majority of Japanese wants to show gratitude and send condolences to Shinzo Abe. Shinzo Abe was loved by its nation. However, mainstream media, which is already invaded by foreign countries, have decided to interrupt majority of Japanese nation by their concentrate reports on these protesters against state funeral. Why would that happen? Because enemy nation hate to see the whole Japanese nation coming all together on the death of former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. I think that is the answer. At the press conference of Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan, Indonesian press questioned to a leader of these protesters, quite well-known left-wing leader. He said, "My question is, do you still make demonstration on 27th of September, especially in this main gate of Parliament building? Because, just for your information, in Indonesia, if the leader passed away and in a state funeral, one day or even 1 week, we are silent. We respect death of our leader, both opposition and supposing leader. This is our culture in Indonesia, but not in Japan. I'm so surprised that you are still demonstrating at the day of funeral." If you're interested, there is a live stream link on the general column below. Also, the French journalist questioned why there is only old people joining these protests. In Japan, there is a differentiation between state funeral, which is kokuso, and state funeral ceremony kokusogi. I would say, not sure how I should say in English, but anyway, to differentiate imperial household state funeral and politician state funeral. The most recent politician state funeral ceremony was for Prime Minister Shigeru Yoshida 55 years ago. And apparently there is no law to clearly show the right for the state funeral for politicians, and this is confusing people. It is true that there is other points of view. Some non-left-wing type of people are also against because of this reason. Also, there are people who question achievement of Shinzo Abe, which contains a new law that was published as if to sell this country. But I won't put this as a main issue. I am placing what I saw on main issue on this video. But I am not denying that there is a few other discussion I need to cover to fully cover state funeral issue in Japan. But what I need to say is that this whole responsibility should be aimed to current cabinet and Prime Minister Fumio Kishida. He should have sent clear message to his nation. That is all what I feel. I have already finished Floral tribute in the morning of state funeral and decided to report what is really happening here after seeing this long queue, which was extended to a couple of stations nearby. And I started live streaming on YouTube for about 2 hours by filming at the end of the queue to at the time till the entrance of the Floral tribute. Then I realized I saw a lie on mainstream media, which I knew, but I clearly realized what is really going on in Japan. BBC has reported this long queue a little bit in comparison to protesters against state funeral, but I felt this is not good enough at all. So I will say what I think on today's video. Not sure how much foreigner would see this, but I will try it anyway, because I'd like to let people outside of Japan what is the real reason why you saw this negative image of state funeral. Shinzo Abe was shot to death on 8th of July when there was an election of House of Representatives in Japan. The voting date was scheduled on the 10th of July, which was 2 days before the election. This election was in the limelight because there won't be any national election after this for another 3 years unless cabinet dissolution. Actually, coincidentally, there was another event just before the election on the previous election, so some people was quite curious on what is going on. The death of Shinzo Abe was a huge impact on Japanese. However, Japanese mainstream media has shifted to criticize his relation to certain religious group, which is Unification Church. They have totally changed its subject after this tragic terrorism. I must mention there is no committee or proper investigation of this event. Mainstream media have decided to shift subject on TV in Japan. It was full of this relationship between Unification Church and Shinzo Abe. They were clearly targeting to lower Shinzo Abe's image. Then, current Prime Minister Fumio Kishida has announced 22nd of July that we will have state funeral. Since then, media keeps spreading this untruth that 70% of Japanese people are against state funeral. General Japanese people are silent. They say nothing because same as this Indonesian culture, that it is a normal thing to show gratitude and show condolences no matter what. That is the reason for more than 100,000 of people came out and queued for 3 to 5 hours just to show gratitude. Current administration and media reported that this is only 27,000 people visited, which I believe untruth, because I was there. I recently learned that Japanese media originally created to mind control its nation historically, and this is succeeding. Since social media, including YouTube and Twitter, was introduced, younger generation has started to realize this, including myself, and they stopped watching TV. I also need to mention differences between in the UK and here. I used to live in the UK for a long time. People here won't talk about politics and religion on usual conversation between friends and colleagues. This is a huge differences on this culture and its custom. So there is much less chance to discuss with people about politics and to learn new ideas or way of thinking. I just tell you my experience what I saw on 27th of September, which was state funeral for former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. The Floral tribute was planned to accept generation from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on that day close to Nippon Budokan, where actual state funeral was taken place. However, I knew I had to queue, and I usually do my best to skip the queue anytime. So I have decided to go to nearest station, Hanzomon Station, which is about 7 minutes walk to the entrance of Floral tribute, at 7:30 a.m. with my friend. Just because there may be a people who queue from 8 a.m., which is 2 hours in advance, so I went like half an hour early to make sure that I don't queue that long. My decision was working well, that I was able to get my collation vouchers, and this was Group C, starting entrance on 8:55. General Floral tribute was planned by Cabinet Office, and they created these collation vouchers, meaning they knew people would come early and queue would be quite long. I went in about 8:45 a.m., but this Group C has started entrance at 8:30. I completed my flower tribute 10 a.m.-ish. Then I was interviewed by Japanese press. I knew they can't use my words, but I said I came here to show gratitude because fake media are telling lies every day, but I needed to say the truth. On my way to have a cup of coffee, I saw this long queue which was extended much more. Then I went to next station to have lunch with my friends. Then I again saw this much more extended queue. Then my curiosity, I could not stop live streaming from the end of the queue about 1 p.m. Then my curiosity, I could not stop live streaming from the end of the queue about 1 p.m. till the gate for Floral tribute. The queue was extended much more, so I was expecting about 1 hour, but it was about 2 hours long in the end. My walking step was much more quicker than the queue, and I am very fast walker. My feeling at the beginning of this live streaming and at the end of the live streaming was quite different. I was very, very moved by these people and the will of silent majority. I interviewed several people. When I asked a lady the reason why she came today, and the answer was because I am Japanese. This is quite simple and clear, full of every reason. When I asked a group of young guys, they admired Shinzo Abe, and they knew his foreign affairs achievements. One of them took day off from university when he found out that the death of Shinzo Abe because he was really shocked. The other said that he dropped his dumbbells when he was at the gym. They explained me how shocking it was, and they came here to just show the gratitude. In the early morning, this guy who is about 60 to 70s age, as he seemed to retired, he said, he was very frustrated last 2 months hearing negative reports from media to only reports people against this state funeral, not to talk about former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of what he has done. He came on this first train from suburb to make sure that he can show the gratitude and send condolences. Who is these protesters against the state funeral who can't be silent? They are structured by non-Japanese people as I or people who went for the protest demonstrations heard foreign languages, including Chinese and Korean. The leader may be Japanese, but I am guessing these people are heavily influenced by others, because what I saw is an embarrassment of Japan. When I reached to entrance of Floral tribute, where there is still 800 meters to actual Floral tribute venue, I could not stop filming and stayed there. I had another things to do, so after that, so I went back to the nearest station, but I still could not stop filming until my next appointment because I was really moved, and it was quite beautiful queue. What I saw is the will of Japanese nation. I saw silent majority coming out to queue up long hours. I saw very quiet queue. There were no shortcut. Nobody jumped into the queue. Nobody has dropped out. Everyone asked where is the end of the queue politely when they came out from the station. There were no priority lane prepared for wheelchairs as well. Nobody complained. Nobody made troubles. Just long, quiet queue. Very good order, good manner. People are just walking without asking how long this queue would be. Some people placed their hands at the back. I have never seen this type of queue. I can compare my experience of 30,000 people event with one exit, etc. But I can say this was at least 100,000 scale of the queue. It was quite long. While SHINZO Abe's administration, especially the second one, there was a strong attack from media, especially on certain issue. This was dragged till the end of his administration. But I felt these people on the queue were not affected, or they did not want to hear these news anymore. Cabinet wanted to avoid these critics, so they minimized this flower tribute to only 6 hours. But I guess this way of operation was ignoring the feeling of majority of Japanese people. Japanese never ends is the voice from the chat on my live stream. No matter foreign pressure tries to invade Japan, there is this silent majority. We will keep our country as a will from former Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. I never forget what I saw and this moving experience. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Bye. Thank you very much for watching this video that I had to explain what I experienced and what I saw on the Floral tribute to Shinzo Abe, because still even the cabinet or the mainstream media is not fully reporting what has going on. So if you're interested, you can watch my live stream on that day for 2 hours long, which is long, but you will be surprised how many people really actually came out. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please, well, mostly in Japanese, but please subscribe and place good button. Thank you. Bye.